by building sustainable food systems that provide nutritious food for all. Let's review about SDG 2.
Probably heard it before, right? To solve world hunger, we just need to grow more food. Simple. But what if I told you a country could have tons of food and its people are still going hungry? That's the paradox we're diving into today, and trust me, it's way more complicated than it looks.
Yeah, this question right here, it gets straight to the point. How is it even possible for a country to be a huge food producer, but at the same time struggle to feed its own people? It doesn't add up, does it? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to try and solve together.
So, the whole world is actually working on this. It's part of the UN's big plan, called Sustainable Development Goal 2, or SDG 2. The name is super simple: zero hunger. But, and this is a big but, it's not just about filling stomachs. It's about getting the right kind of food, the nutritious stuff, and making sure the whole system can handle whatever the future throws at it. All right, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to zoom in on one country that is living this paradox every single day: Pakistan. Its story, I think, shows us exactly why hitting that zero hunger goal is just so tough. And here it is, the whole problem laid out bare. On one side of the coin, Pakistan is a powerhouse when it comes to agriculture. On the other, it's officially labeled as having a serious level of hunger. I mean, how can those two things exist in the same place at the same time? It's a real head-scratcher. And if you want a number to really drive that home, look at this. On the Global Hunger Index, which ranks 123 countries, Pakistan is number 106. 106. That's not just some random data point. That puts it way down there with the most food-insecure countries in the world, even with all that farmland. And let's be clear, this isn't just about rankings. We're talking about real people, 11 million of them, just in the rural parts of the country, are facing what's called crisis or emergency levels of food insecurity. That's a huge number. 11 million people in a country that grows so much food struggling right now for their next meal. It's a lot to take in. Okay, but believe it or not, the story gets even more complicated, because just having enough calories isn't the whole picture. There's this other, sneakier problem lurking underneath: malnutrition. And this is where the real long-term permanent damage gets done. This quote just says it all. Stunting is an irreversible life sentence of lost potential. Let that sink in. A life sentence. It means if a kid doesn't get the right food at the very beginning of their life, the damage is done. Forever. You can't go back and fix it. Their bodies, and just as importantly, their brains, are permanently held back. So, just so we're all on the same page, when we say stunting, we mean a child is too short for their age. That's from long-term malnutrition. Wasting is when a child is too thin for their height. That's more of an immediate, acute problem. But both of them are basically giant flashing red lights that a child's entire future is in jeopardy. And the sheer scale of this in Pakistan is, honestly, it's just staggering. 40% of all kids under the age of 5 are stunted. I mean, just picture 5 little kids playing. 2 of them. 2 out of those 5 are already having their potential capped. Their bodies, their minds, before they've even really started life. It's a massive crisis. So, faced with this enormous challenge, what do? Well, Pakistan isn't just sitting back. They're fighting back with a really smart 2-part plan. It's a mix of big picture strategy and super focused on-the-ground action. Okay, so part 1 is the blueprint. It's the National Food Security Policy from 2018. You can think of this as the master plan, the big strategy guide designed to tackle this whole mess from every direction. And this plan is built on 4 really important ideas, or pillars. First up is availability. Pretty straightforward, right? You got to make sure there's enough food around. But then comes accessibility. It's not enough for food to exist. People have to actually be able to get it and afford it. Third is utilization. This is key. The food has to be the right food, nutritious and safe. And finally, number 4 is stability. The whole system has to be tough enough to survive things like climate change or economic shocks.
Now, a big plan like that is great, but you need a laser focus. And that's part 2 of the strategy. They found their silver bullet, if you will. And it's all about targeting the most important time in a person's life, the first 1,000 days. That's from conception all the way to a child's second birthday. Why? Because that's the window where you can actually prevent stunting before it ever happens. And the program that does this is called the Benazir Nashunuma program. And honestly, it is such a clever idea. Here's how it works. They give cash stipends to pregnant women and mothers with young kids. But here's the twist. It's conditional. You only get the cash if you go to your health checkups and attend sessions to learn about nutrition. Plus, they give out special nutrient-packed food. It's a brilliant way to connect money, health, and education all in one. So, does it work? Oh yeah, it works. The numbers don't lie. Kids in the program have a stunting rate that's 6.4 percentage points lower than kids who aren't. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but in the world of public health, that is a massive success. This thing is a game changer, making a real, tangible difference in kids' lives. Okay, so we've got a great master plan and a world-class program that's actually working. Problem solved, right? We can all go home. Well, not so fast. Because this is where the story gets really tough. It turns out, even the best-laid plans can get completely knocked sideways by things you can't control. Let's look at the two biggest villains in this story. First, you've got massive climate shocks, like the monster floods back in 2022. They literally washed away crops and livestock, which is a direct hit on that availability pillar we talked about. And then you've got economic instability. Sky-high inflation means people's money is worth less and less. So even if food is on the shelf, they can't afford it. A direct attack on the accessibility pillar. And this is what's so frustrating and frankly heartbreaking about the whole situation. It's like taking 2 steps forward and then getting shoved 3 steps back. You have these amazing programs making real progress, changing lives, and then a global event, something totally out of your control, comes along and threatens to undo everything. So all of this leads us to the reality of the path forward, and it is a fragile one. Trying to achieve something as huge as zero hunger, well, it's a constant, relentless fight, especially when our world is dealing with so many crises all at once. And I think that's the big takeaway from Pakistan's story. You can have the perfect strategy on paper. You can have amazing, world-class programs that are proven to work, but sometimes that's still not enough. Your success is incredibly fragile, constantly at risk from these massive global forces you just can't do anything about on your own. Which leaves us with this one final, really big question to chew on. Can a single country, even with the best ideas and programs, really win this fight on its own when it's up against global monsters like climate change and economic instability? Or have we reached a point where solving hunger in one place actually means we have to work on solving everything, everywhere, all at once? That's something for all of us to think about.
Thanks for your time to learn, earn, and lead. This is Mohammad Zishan Awan, Advocate High Court. To join Vision 2047, please register with us and be part of the transformation.